Hello everyone and welcome back to Age of Nagash, which is a channel dedicated to Age of Sigmar, and in this video it's going to be a little bit different. So it's not part of a series or anything like that, but what I'll be doing is I'm going to go through all of the units in Legions of Nagash that are currently available from Games Workshop on their website and telling you my thoughts on what I believe which units will be available in Soulblight Gravelords and which units will go by the dust, shall we say. And when I mean what units, really, I'm talking about the models that you can buy currently now. And we'll go more into that as the video goes on to. I'd also like to say a thank you to Luke, who is a good subscriber of mine, who gave me the suggestion for this video. So thank you very much, Luke. So I thought, when he said you could go through the Legions of Nagash units and give your thoughts and speculations on what units and models are still going to be here in a few months from now, where we think the Soulblight release is, I thought that would be a great idea. So before we get fully into this video, I do of course just want to do a shout out to my Patrons and YouTube members, who because of these people I can continue to make videos for Age of Sigmar and help people get into Age of Sigmar and continue their Age of Sigmar journey. So for my Patreon YouTube members, we're going to have the fantastic Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, which is a unit we're going to get to in a moment. Basically all these units, to be fair, we'll get to in a moment. This is going to be the Stuart F, so mate, if that's here, I've already said it, you're absolutely smashing it. Thank you so much for becoming a Vampire on Zombie Dragon. It makes a huge difference. And then my Morgas, which is going to be Johnathan H, Filq, Bleed Red, and Christopher G. Thank you for your continued help at that tier as well. It's a hell of a lot of help you give the channel, so thank you so much for your continued support. Then my Vampires, which are going to be Mir, Martin S, Rouse321, David A, Ronni H, Doug P, SpareBear, Christopher H, and Northdrop. Thank you so much as well for your continued support. My Necromancers, Jacq.l, RadiationRiley, AW77, Dice Sagas, WolfNick, Michal W, Quad, Cranky Wombat, Crystal C, Christopher F, James S, Robin S, Steve T, James T, Patrick F, and JJ. Thank you all for your continued support and keeping the channel going. If you would like to support the channel, you can click the join button next to the subscribe button here on YouTube. Allows you to become a YouTube member for Age of Nagash, or there's a link to my Patreon on the top down description down below. But we can get to all that at the end of the video, because for right now what I want to do is go into what I think are going to stay and what units I think are going to go. And what I want to hear as well from your guys' perspective is, let me know in the comments what units you think. I'm going to stop saying units because there's more models. What models do you think are going to be in the Soulblight Gravelords book? And what models do you think won't be? Or what models do you think Games Workshop are going to get rid of? And what models do you think they won't get rid of? If there's any thing that you think differently to what I've said in this video, please let me know down below, because it'd be interesting to have that conversation to you as we can learn from each other. So, firstly, we are going to start with the Legions of Nagash Battle Tome. As you can see, this is all just being screen recorded. I'm going to try and do this all in one take and just give you my honest thoughts off the top of my head. So, the Battle Tome Legions of Nagash. There's two ways this is going to go. Firstly, it's either going to go, I don't know, maybe for the FAQ for the Soulblight Gravelords, or in the opening pages, it will say this is the new Legions of Nagash Battle Tome. It's not called Legions of Nagash, but it is the new supplement for that, i.e. this Legions of Nagash Battle Tome is no longer valid if you want to play legal match play games. That's one thing they could do. Or the second thing they could do is that they just don't really mention Legions of Nagash, and Legions of Nagash is its own standalone book. It is still a second edition book, and well, actually I say a second edition, it came out just before, so it's not, I was going to say like, it's not that old, but really it is the second oldest battle tome in whole of Age of Sigmar, just a tiny bit newer than the Maggot King of Nurgle. So I think Legions of Nagash, they might just leave it and then let Legions of Nagash slowly disappear, and Soulblight Gravelords is the new thing, or they'll just go straight away when Soulblight Gravelords comes out, yep, this is the new book for Legions of Nagash. Basically, this is what Legions of Nagash has become, and that's what I kind of think they're going to do. So that's to summarise the Battle Tome. So my thoughts to you guys, if you're starting Age of Sigmar and you think Legions of Nagash for me, maybe hang off the Battle Tome unless you're really desperate to get it. I wouldn't buy it now, to be honest with you, and that's kind of why I haven't done any videos for Legions of Nagash lately, because I don't want to encourage too many people buying into it, because we don't know what's going to happen. So that is for the Battle Tome, and then the next thing, we're just going to go, I'll tell you what, we're just going to go in we'll just do it in order on the website. So basically I've done that and I've clicked at all units of Legions of Nagash. We could look at the heroes and individual ones, but yeah, I'll tell you what, we'll do this better and we'll look at heroes first, because I think that will make probably a bit easier to view and stuff, so you can see when we've done the heroes, then we go on to the units and all that sort of thing. So, Nagash, Supreme Lord of Undead. Very quickly, this guy, my top fellow obviously, is going to be sticking around. It's like, I say a new model came out in the end times, didn't it? So it's probably about, I don't know, maybe about 7 years old now at this point, something like that. But it's still absolutely fantastic. One of the best models I own in my collection, and there's no way this is going anywhere. However, we're not going to be too sure if this model is going to be in the Soulblight Gravelords book, as he kind of has a home in Northdrop's Bone Reapers now, as the same as Arcan the Black, and we'll get to him. So when it comes to a question of, will this model go, will it stay? This model is going to stay, but is it going to be a Soulblight Gravelords? I don't think so. It's my honest opinion. If he is, fantastic. It's another way to play Nagash, but I don't think he'll be in there, because I think it's mainly going to be like traditional vampire counts, if you see my meaning. So then we'll go on to, we'll just do this in order. We're not going to try and make it too picky. Okay, so we've got the White King with Baleful Tombblade. I believe this guy's firmly going to stay. We've got a new White King coming on a skeletal steed, which looked absolutely awesome. Obviously, I haven't seen any rules or anything for these yet. And I believe this guy's going to stay, because he doesn't really look that old, to be honest with you. It was the first hero I ever bought for Age of Sigmar, about 5 odd years ago now. Bought him and a box of skeletons, and I still really like him. Gave him a banner, everything else, because he had the rules for the banner. As soon as I did that, the rules for him with a banner no longer existed, unfortunately. But no, I think he's going to stay. I don't see how he's going to go. And also, something to mention as well when we go through this, if it's plastic, chances are it's probably not going to go as much. So that is the White King. Then we're going to go on to the next one, which is going to be the Manfred Mortar of Night, which again is from that Mortar kit, which you get from the Start Collecting Skeleton Hordes box as an example. And yeah, Manfred's not going anywhere, but I do think Manfred is going to be one of the dominant presence, forces, whatever word you want to use to describe it, in the Soulblight Gravelords book. Now, I don't mean, he is going to be, 100% the best thing to take in that army for the tabletop, for competitive play. Judging by what Manfred, the Mortar of Night, or Manfred Von Kastein, however you want to call him, is like at the moment on gameplay, he's not fantastic. He's not terrible, but he's not fantastic. He's squishy with 11 wounds and that 4-up save, which is why you don't see him too much in Legions of Nagash, or just in general, to be honest with you. So currently, saying that, it's not going to be, the most powerful thing in Soulblight Gravelords, but hopefully Manfred and Neferata, which we'll get to in a moment, are going to get a bit of a power level increase. I honestly feel like they need it to see play, but I do think in terms of lore-wise and character-wise, Manfred is such a big character. He's been around for a very long time in the world that was as well, and he's just such a, shall we say, some people love him, some people hate him, so I'm going to just call him interesting. I love him, so I'm going to say he's a lovely character, and it will always have a fairly large presence within, if not the lore as a whole in Age of Sigmar, certainly in the lore for death. So that is Manfred. He's definitely going to stay. And then we've got Neferata, who of course, like Manfred, is a vampire and a Mortar, but Neferata is the first vampire in existence from the old world. Really try and demonstrate the lore from the old world. Don't push it too far, because I don't know too much about it, but I know stuff when it comes to Neferata, and she most certainly is sticking around. She is one of the models that got me into Age of Sigmar. Not one of the first models I bought, but when I looked on the GameSpot website going, should I get back into Warhammer? And I saw her with her mount, and I was like, yes, absolutely. And it's still one of my favourite models today. Really like the Dread Abyssal mount she has, where it's the blind one, so basically it's a lot more sneaky, and well, not just sneaky, but like ambushes its prey from the underworlds and everything. Yeah, very cool stuff without going into too much about the individual models. What I will say is I have done a little video on her, if you want to go watch that out, so if you want to hear me talk about her for more, but she will definitely be staying around. These are the easy ones that I can say are definitely going to stay. The Tomb Banshee, this is where things do get a bit more interesting though, because really the question is what's going to happen with Knighthorn. We've seen Knighthorn became separated from the Death Grand Alliance as it was in the early days of Age of Sigmar when it got the Knighthorn book came out, and it sort of made Knighthorn as a standalone army. Can be taking some elements in Legions of Nagash, but mainly a standalone army. And then we got the Legion of Grief, of course, that came out in Forbidden Power, which was a extra supplement, which came out for Age of Sigmar probably about 2 years ago now, something like that I want to say. And basically what that gave is a way for you to play your Knighthorn, but more in a Legions of Nagash style way of playing. And it kind of made Knighthorn feel a little bit like a breakaway from the rest of Death for Legions of Nagash, and then they kind of built a bridge to bring it back together. So it makes it a bit harder to determine what its future is going to be. Could Soulblight Gravelords just go, right, you know, bugger the Knighthorn Battle Tome, chuck all that stuff in Soulblight Gravelords? It's going to be a massive book. I've heard some people say that, and I don't think that is going to be the case. I believe Knighthorn is still going to be its own army. The amount of units Knighthorn has is absolutely huge in terms of just chucking it, just bundle it into another army to try and make up for the lack of units. It doesn't need to make up for the lack of units. So I think that the Tomb Banshee, obviously the model is definitely going to stay. It's not going to go away, my honest opinion. But would it be in Soulblight Gravelords? It really depends on if Knighthorn's going to be in Soulblight Gravelords in terms of the Knighthorn units that are in the Legions of Nagash book. Then yes, she will be in Soulblight Gravelords. However, the important thing to mention is Legions of Nagash was written, or it was released basically before the Knighthorn book. So when Legions of Nagash book came out, every unit that was for Knighthorn was in Legions of Nagash because there was no other Knighthorn units. This is all the Knighthorn units from the world that was, from Warhammer Fantasy. And that's kind of why it felt justified of how those Knighthorn units, and only certain Knighthorn units, had been in Legions of Nagash. And that's why I feel like there might not be any Knighthorn in the Soulblight Gravelords book. In my honest opinion, I think it's going to be more traditional vampire counts. And I know they had Knighthorn stuff, Spirit Hose and Hex Rays and everything, and Tomb Banshees. But I think it's definitely showing a more towards, if we look at it in Age of Sigmar terms, it's showing obviously Soulblight stuff, but it's showing Death Rattle, Dead Walkers, so skeletons and zombies, and like Death Mages as well, so Necromancers, and it's definitely given that more of a vibe, I think, than the Knighthorn. And then I reckon there could be another Knighthorn book come out that will be bring Knighthorn up to hopefully a better standard in terms of where they stand on the match play scene. And I believe that is where all the Knighthorn units are going to have a home. But I do believe they'll be able to ally into Soulblight Gravelords. But it's like I say, it's impossible to say. But I have a strong indication that they're going to separate Knighthorn and Legions of Nagash for good, just to make them feel like they have their own standalone armies. But I'm more than happy for Knighthorn to be in Soulblight Gravelords, and to the point where I'd go, I want them to be in Soulblight Gravelords, because I've always said I want more reasons to play with my Warhammer, right? I want more reasons to be able to play with all of my models, and being able to take them in different allegiances is huge. That's why, although it looks like it's changing at the moment, to be honest with you, which is quite sad, that's why I love my Slaves of Darkness, because I can take them in so many God books. So it's like one army, but I mean, the update for Snesh was a bit annoying for them, but it's one army, my Slaves of Darkness, but I can take it in like 5 different, or probably 6 different allegiances. So I really like to be able to play more ways with my models, basically, because then it just feels more cost effective and everything else. But anyway, that was a long talk about the Tomb Banshee. So moving on to the next thing, which is the Khan Wraith, which this guy's staying around. Is he going to be a Soulblight Gravelords? I personally think that Knighthorn's going to go separately, like I just said. I actually really like this model. It's funny though, when you stick him next to a Grimghast Reaper, and the Grimghast Reaper looks more dynamic and more like a hero than this chap now. But yeah, cool. I really like him. I think 60-point hero as well. Lovely. I've managed to do lots of fun things with him. So that is him. And then we have got Prince Verhordre. So this actually begs an interesting question, because is the Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon sticking around? Yes, it is. That's not going anywhere, in my honest opinion. However, if we look at the front of the Soulblight Gravelords book, where if I was smart enough, I'd have that on the screen for you. I don't, sorry. Try and picture it in your head. We saw in the background that there was a Vampire Lord flying on a Zombie Dragon that looked very different to this Zombie Dragon. So that begs the question. I talked about it when I did my review for the Soulblight Gravelords when they announced it. Does that mean we are going to get a new Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon? I have the utmost hopes that we do, but realistically, I'm not convinced, because the only thing that looked different was the dragon. The guy on top looked basically exactly the same. The lance was exactly the same, and everything else. But what I will say, if it is going to be a new Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, I think it's going to be a model just for Prince Verhordre, and that will make Prince Verhordre significantly different to just the normal Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon in terms of model wise and rules wise as well. Obviously, if he gets a new model, does tend to reflect that, and then that would mean that the three top most important characters in Soulblight Gravelords, from what we already know from characters we are already aware of, will be Manfred, the Mortarch of Night, then Neferata, the Mortarch of Blood, and then Prince Verhordre. And then it could play into interesting themes, like they could just be the 3 sub-allegiances. It'd be nice if there was a bit more than 3, but some books only have 3. And some books don't even have any. So they could be the 3 sub-allegiances. I can see them all playing quite differently. You know, Prince Verhordre, obviously very armoured, you know, obviously quite big on Blood Knights and all that sort of thing, and probably more of a melee-focused army. Neferata, all about Beguile and all that sort of thing. And then Manfred, all about, obviously, sneaky tactics, which could be interesting to see. And but I just hope they develop on it more than they did in Legions of Nagash and make it a bit more interesting, especially if there's only like 3 sub-allegiances. So that's what I think we could see for Prince Verhordre. So is this model going to be around? Absolutely. Is it going to be a Soulblight Gravelords? Absolutely. But Prince Verhordre, hopefully, like, you know, it's high optimism, this, right? But I do like to try and sometimes be optimistic on this channel, not just pessimistic. So I'm going to say that maybe we'll get a new, well, not even a new, but just like a proper model for Prince Verhordre. Because Legions of Nagash book as well came, how many was it? I think it was maybe just 2 War Scrolls, because there's a Bloodseeker Palanquin and then this chap, where they just brought out 2 new War Scrolls and just said build the models slightly differently. Kind of like the whole Flesh Eater Core army as well. But anyway, so that is my thoughts on Prince Verhordre. And then the next one we've got is going to be Arcan, the Black Mortarch Sacrament. I think that he's going to have his home in the Ostrich Bone Reapers, like I've already mentioned, like with Nagash. He doesn't really fit the Soulblight Gravelords theme, but he is skeletal. You know, like, I don't think he has the Death Rattle keyword, but he has got the skeletal keyword as far as I remember. Which then you could go, well, what's the difference between him and just like a White King? You know, obviously apart from lore reasons, but I mean, like, you know, aesthetically, they kind of, you know, they're made out of bone, blah, 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 blah. And you could say that way, but I do think that he is going to go into Ostrich Bone Reapers and not be in Soulblight Gravelords. And I almost feel like to the point where if he is in Soulblight Gravelords and Nagash is in Soulblight Gravelords, again, I'm not going to complain because there's more ways to play my models, but at the same time, I will feel like, is this book very much different to Legions of Nagash that's going to port all the same units over? And then we've got the Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, which I've explained enough when I was talking about Prince Verhordre. This chap isn't going anywhere. If there's a whole new Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon kit come out, that'd be amazing. But I've always felt like the Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, despite owning so many of these kits and so many zombie dragons, I always feel like the dragon's just looks a bit awkward. It's just a bit like too bent over and leaning forward. And the head looks a little bit, I think the dragon head could be cooler. But apart from all these niggle sort of like pickings I'm making of this model, it's still a pretty new model. It came out late in Warhammer Fantasy as well, I believe. Maybe 8th edition, I don't really have a clue, but I knew it came out not too long before Age of Sigmar, so I doubt they would fully update it so far. But the model still lives up to date anyway. So yeah, that apart from the massive wings that are, if you build enough of these things, you'll find they stab you through the hand quite a few times. But anyway, so that is the thoughts on him. And then really what we've got here is a sold out of the old Isabella Von Kastein model, which you can see is just a Vampire Lord or Vampire Lady, as I think is probably the correct term. And we can see it's sold out. So there used to be a hell of a lot more of these old name characters on the website, even if you look probably a few weeks ago, and then they've all gone, which they all just turned into generic Vampire Lords. And the reason why they're all sold out online is because they're resin, and Games Workshop doesn't want to carry resin forward into new books as much as possible. That's why you can see that these like 9 War Scrolls, which to be honest, I'm kind of surprised that there's only 9 here for the heroes, because I'm used to... I thought there would be a lot more, because there's a lot more in the, like, I don't know if you looked at a year ago or something for Legions of Nagash. But these 9 are all plastic. And really, when we say 9, you've got, that's one kit, that's one kit. So you've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kits, if I did the maths right. There, which is obviously a bit slimmer, but we can see that there is going to be, for example, there would have also been a model here that looked like a skeleton riding a camel, which was the old White King on Skeletal Steed, which was embarrassing that Games Workshop still sold that model, to be honest with you, in my opinion. But that's not even on the website anymore. So that's why, obviously, this list has massively shrunk. But anyway, so those are the heroes, and those are my thoughts on those ones. And then going on to the... Oh, that's hero. Okay, yeah, this is why I'm getting confused. I'm thinking, actually, where's the Necromancer and where's everything else? So I have to tick Wizards as well? Is that right? Games Work? No. Well, where's the Necromancer? Where is the Necromancer? What the fuck? Priest? It's not a priest. No, priest. The only priest in death is like Nagash, as far as I'm aware. Right, okay, so that doesn't really... I don't want to miss anything out. If we miss stuff out, we can go back and I'll give you my thoughts on them. But so we'll untick these and then we're going to go straight to units. Yeah, the Necromancer should bloody... I'll tell you what, sorry, I don't mean to be disorganised here, but I thought the Games Workshop website would be in order. And apparently I gave Games Workshop too much faith. So, the Necromancer, if we just click on all of them, what are my thoughts? He's going to be around, his model isn't getting replaced, his model's not too old, it still stands up to scratch. If you don't like him, you can convert your own one. Yeah, it's just a cheap hero at like £10. Like, can't really argue that too much. And, yeah, he's sticking around. He will be in Soulblight Gravelords, in my honest opinion. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say to him. He's I know he's not a vampire, but he's a Necromancer, and they always do suck up to the vampires, don't they? So definitely will be there. So any other heroes that I mean, like all this stuff we'll go through separately, don't worry. I'm just trying to get all the heroes done. And I think that is that all the units? Bloody hell, that is. There's only 33 items. They've cut so much of it down. Anyway, so let's do the actual units now though, so we can narrow it down a bit further. So we've got the Death Rattle Serpent Guard, which is the Underworld's warband. Yeah, that'll be in Soulblight Gravelords. It probably still won't have much use. I haven't looked at the War Scroll for a little while, but I remember, I think when I looked at it, I've got these guys, to be honest, but I think in terms of Age of Sigmar, it's one of the warbands that just doesn't stand out enough to take, unless you wanted to do it narratively. But what you can use it for is each model you can put in a Skeleton Warriors unit just to try and make them look a bit different, but because we've got the new Skeleton Warriors coming out, they look more different anyway. Might not need it, but if you've got a bunch of the old Skeletons Warriors like I do, I'll chuck them in there to make them look different, or you could even make this guy a White King if you'd like to. Just make his base a bit more fancy and all that sort of thing so he stands out a bit more. And then the... just doing a yawn. And then the next one we're going to have a look at is going to be the Direwolves. Now, Direwolves is an interesting one because on the front of that Soulblight, I'll tell you what, we're just going to get it up because instead of me just trying to refer to it with nothing on the screen, we're going to try and get up a picture. We'll go images, yeah, cool, we'll find it. Awesome. So, if you can, how do you make, sorry, you'll find out my lack of technology skills is apparent. Anyway, can't remember how to make this thing bigger, because I'll click on that, it's going to take me to the website, isn't it? Yeah. So, basically, on this picture here, if you can see, this is the zombie dragon I was on about. It looks very different to the current zombie dragon. Moving on, this direwolf looks vastly different to these direwolves. It looks a hell of a lot smaller for a start. We know that this vampire lady does not come with a direwolf on her base. She just has bats holding her hair. So we know it's not like a separate little one like the Fleshhound Morgus Cole has, as an example. So these direwolves could maybe be getting new models, and this is something that I know the community is split on. And when I say the community is split on, I mean probably the vast majority of people don't like these models, say they look like beavers, and want new ones. But me, for pure nostalgia purposes, I love these models. I really liked them as a kid. Never could afford to buy them and stuff. They didn't even cost too much money, but I couldn't afford to buy them as a kid. So I always just admired them. That's something I couldn't have. And now I own something about 30. And I do really like the models. In my honest opinion, are they going to be around in the new book? I'm not too sure of you. It could be one of the units I think we could get an update for, because when they showed us the Soulblight Gravelords stuff in that trailer, I was convinced that those Blood Knights, the new Skeletons, the new Zombies, the new Vampire Lady, the new White King, the new Fel Bats, I was convinced that they're not the only new units we're getting Soulblight Gravelords, and I think Direwolves are a strong contender for being one of the other units maybe we could be getting a new model kit off. I personally like the old ones. I know that's the unpopular opinion, but hey, that's my opinions and that's my thoughts, but I'm always happy to see new models at the end of the day. So that is them, and also best battle line unit in the whole game, in my opinion, not for actually being particularly good, but just being as a screen. And then we've got Spirit Host, that yet again, as I've mentioned with the Knighthorn, if Knighthorn are going to be in this book, they'll be in there for sure because they're in the Legions of Nagash one, but if they're not, of course they're not going to be in there. They'll be standalone with Knighthorn. It really depends on, like I say, what they want to do in the future of Knighthorn. So that is them. And then we've got a... I'll tell you what, before we go on to like the bigger things, let's just do the small things first. These zombies, they're gone, right? Like the Skeleton Warriors aren't even coming up on this on their website anymore, but I will just scan for everything in case it just didn't come up with units, like the Necromancer didn't come up with heroes. But yeah, these zombies are long overdue to be gone, and they are going to be replaced with the nice new zombies. Honestly, these zombies, I bought a box of these to use for my like flesh-eated courts as like cut up pieces of meat that they're eating and stuff. It's even hard to use them as like scattered pieces of meat because their models are just awful. Absolutely awful. I mean, look how big some of their hands are. Yeah, so these farewell. If you disagree with me and you think these models are really good and you're sad that they're gone, then that's fine, we can disagree. And then going on to the corpse car, I believe this is staying. Again, it's plastic, but you know, the zombies and skeletons were plastic and they're getting replaced. But the corpse car is a... the model still looks good. These zombies look fine, in my opinion. I've got a corpse cart, and I've even converted another corpse cart because it didn't arrive in time and I needed it for a tournament. Well, it's a pain in the bloody arse. However, the corpse cart is a useful bit of kit in Legions of Nagash, and if its War Scroll stays similar, I think it will be useful in that, so I don't think they'll get rid of it. Yeah, I think it still stands up, to be honest, to fit into Age of Sigmar, but again, new model, I'll be happy, but I think it'll be staying around. And the important corpse card is the one with the bell on it and not the fire, because it gives your Death Wizard the +1 cast at the moment. And then we've got the Morgus Harbingers, which I believe have found a place in Ostrich Bone Reapers, and it's like Harbingers and Archive, same thing. They'll be in Bone Reapers and they won't be in Legions of Nagash. Sorry, not Legions of Nagash, sorry, they won't be in the Soulblight Gravelords book, because they just... this whole of the Ostrich Bone Reaper army, the whole models were basically modelled around the Mortarks and the Morgasts. So yeah, they have a very firm home. They were like the first ones to be in that home through that door. So I don't think they'll be in Soulblight Gravelords, because Soulblight Gravelords is, in terms of lore, it's going to be quite different to what Legions of Nagash is. Well, Legions of Nagash is just like the whole collections of Nagash's army all in one place at that moment in time. And then since then, we've had the Nightthorn Battletome come out. We've had the Ostrich Bone Reaper Battletome come out. And there's been so much change in the lore in terms of the armies as well. And that's why I believe that they will be in the Bone Reapers armies and not Soulblight Gravelords. But the models will definitely stick around and they won't be going anywhere. And again, of course, if I'm wrong and they're in Soulblight Gravelords, I'm going to say the same thing, where it's just more ways to play with my models, so I'm not going to complain. So that is the units, but I'm damn sure there's more than those units, because we've got like the bloody Morgus Engine hasn't even came up yet, and we've got Varga. See, like, it's just annoying that their website doesn't bloody work. If I click units, the Vargas are a unit. Technically, everything's a unit at the end of the day, so that's annoying. But yeah, let's talk about Vargas now, shall we? Like the Graveguard didn't even come up. I mean, what the hell? Anyway, the Vargas, they're sticking around. They are very much Soulblight, obviously. They are vampires, and they're vampires when they go a little bit mad from, I think it's either not... yeah, I'm pretty sure, going by old world lore, it's like when they don't get enough blood, and then basically... a vampire actually spends quite a lot of effort trying to like maintain its human appearance, if you like. To try and make himself or herself not look like they're an undead creature. But when they have such a lack of blood, as an example, they can no longer focus so much energy on trying to keep up with appearances, and then their body will transform to suit their need, and their need is just the feast, and that is why they end up like Vargeist. Just as a little bit of a interesting little lore short there about the Vargeist, and I've always really liked them. I've got loads of Vargeist / Flayers for Flesh Eater Courts, and I'm not picky enough, shall we say, to go, no, I'm only going to use the pure Vargeist looking ones as Vargeist. I don't give a shit. I'm taking my Crypt Flayers and using them as Vargeist because they're the same fucking model, apart from they've got exposed spines instead of fur, and they even got some of the same heads because I ran out of heads in the box. So yeah, I'll be using them as that. Like this kit, it's got this kit alone. This is nothing to do with the video, so apologies for that. But if you're watching this video at this point, then you probably know that I ramble off anyway. So this kit has got, I think, you could build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can build 5 War Scrolls from this one kit, which is just insane. Which might put it in the contender for the most amount of War Scrolls. That might be the Terra Geist kit, to be fair with you. So yeah, that is there. They'll be useful. They'll still be in Soulblight Gravelords, and their models aren't going anywhere. And the other thing is their models aren't even that old, and they're nice model kit, to be fair. And I still like them. Apart from this chap here, wings. That wing here, and this is the leader of the unit, this wing here is exactly the same as that wing there. So I have no idea how it works. How he's twisted his arm completely around and can still fly. So that's always confused me when I was building that model. And I've literally built 27 of these. Probably about, I've got heroes as well, so probably about 30 of this kit I've built. Bought them very cheaply from a third party. And yeah, like, after a while, I'm kind of an expert in this kit, so that's why I wanted to ramble and talk about it for longer than I probably should. But let's talk about the Graveguard, shall we? Because they didn't come up on the units either. So the Graveguard, I think, are going to get replaced. If they're replacing Skeleton Warriors, I can't see how they're not going to replace the Graveguard, as they are just that next level up. It will just feel odd if they don't. I will say, though, that I really like Graveguard in the same way that I really like Skeleton Warriors. Like, I'm not in a rush to buy the new Skeleton Warriors. I really like the current ones I have. Also have shitloads of them, so I'm not rebuying them all. And the Graveguard, I have about 20 Graveguard, I want to say. Maybe just like the odd, like, I don't know, 21 or 22 for some reason. But I really like the Graveguard models, but I can see Graveguard getting new models, because otherwise the current, well, not the current, sorry, the new Skeleton Warriors coming out almost look like as beefed up as the Graveguard, and it just won't really feel like much sense. We're like, oh, this Graveguard's like double the output of this Skeleton Warrior. Yeah, and it's like, but the Skeleton Warrior looks better. Like, it just wouldn't work. So I think that's why we're going to get Graveguard models come out. Also, the other thing is that because we've got the new White King on the Steed coming out, we've got new Skeleton Warriors, new White King come out, and then the Graveguard and the Black Knight's the only two things we haven't. So it's kind of like they updated half the Death Rattle range and then they left the other half. Which, again, I'm happy of how they look anyway, but I could see this be an example of one of the other new units, or just like updated models for a unit that we could still see come out for Soulblight Gravelords that we haven't seen already. So yeah, that is them. What else did they come up? That's the Corpse Scar I was telling you about. That's the useful one with the Unholy Lodestone. Definitely build it as that if you already got one and you haven't built it yet. If you have built it and it's got the flames on it, stick a fucking bell next to it. And why is there 3 things to the Corpse Scar? Because there's no normal Don't understand Games Workshop. Anyway, so we've got the Fel Bats. Now these, absolute steal at £30 for 3 of these guys. Clearly, each one, judging by this, I mean, I've had these before, and they're not massive. So £10 for each one. Interesting price choosing, maybe. Anyway, so these guys are definitely gone. We've got the new Fel Bats, which we can see because I've got them up here again. Very nice. I don't know how to make this bigger. Apologies for that. But we have got the new Fel Bats here, and these ones go bye-bye, which I'm surprised they're not. Well, the reason it doesn't say sold out because I haven't managed to sell them. Like the old vampire characters, they managed to sell because people want them for their collection. But yeah, the old I mean, I kind of like them for nostalgia reasons, but like not even enough to buy them. So yeah, they're definitely going to be gone, and these are going to be the new ones. So their War Scrolls still going to be in Soulblight Gravelords, but their models are going to be gone because they've got those new. I really like these Fel Bats, and they're huge. Like their wingspans are massive in that video that we saw them in. And then the next one we'll look at is just, I'm just going to do it in what order I come across really. So the next thing is the Mort Engine. That's sticking around. Pretty sure that came out not too far behind Age of Sigmar, probably the same sort of time as the Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon. Gonna guess 8th edition again. Yeah, that'll be sticking around. That's actually got 3 War Scrolls you build from this. You've got the Mort's Engine, the Bloodseeker Palanquin, and then the Coven Throne. And I think they'll all be in Soulblight Gravelords. Again, this is the Necromancer one. I can't. Well, you can see what the Coven Throne looks like here. Obviously, vampires. Literally, the Coven Throne and the Bloodseeker Palanquin, they're Soulblight units, so they'll definitely be in. The Mortis Engine will be in as well because it's Necromancers. And then we got the Terra Geist, again for the same reason as the Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon. This model's not going anywhere. It's made out of the same kit. It's one of my favourite kits in all of Age of Sigmar. I think its pose is absolutely awesome. And is it going to be in Soulblight Gravelords though? Because really, it's a Flesh Eater Quarter unit now, and it's kind of just being more and more cemented as Flesh Eater Quarter units. There's a lot of Flesh Eater Quarter armies. When you build a list for them, very few of them don't at least include one Terra Geist with a Ghoul King on it generally. So I'm not, in all honesty, I'm not too sure. Because this doesn't scream like, oh, there's no reason why. Like, it doesn't scream like this could only be in Flesh Eater Quarters. Like, lore-wise, there's no reason why it wouldn't be in Flesh. It's not, because it's just a huge undead bat, or some other lore describes it as. It's lots of different pieces of other bones, lots of different bones of lots of creatures sort of like stuck together through necromantic art, but it doesn't really look like that in the model. It literally just looks like a big dead bat. And bats are very close to the Soulblight Gravelords, so with that, because it's obviously vampires, so with that, I'm going to say the Terra Geist will be in Soulblight Gravelords because it's just a massive undead bat. And that's kind of my thoughts on it. What I still want to see is a massive vampire bat that's alive, almost the size of the Terra Geist would be awesome, but it's a living big vampire bat. It's not just skin and bones. Or take away the skin, not just bones. I think would be cool. And then we've got the Morgasts being through, Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragons being through. Okay, so we got, yeah, so the Skeleton Warriors and the Black Knights didn't come up with that thing either. That's just like, I'm glad I didn't go, right guys, we're gonna sort this out. We're gonna units, heroes, and like just basically go boom, that's it, that's everything on the website, because clearly I did the right thing by just going through everything in the end. These Skeleton Warriors, they say temporary out of stock online, which is has massively just changed my thoughts of what I was going to say about them, because I was going to say these guys, when they're gone, they're gone. New Skeleton Warriors come in, replacing them, done. But when they're temporary out of stock online, instead of just being saying sold out, that means Games Workshop is still going to be making more of these guys, which I'm surprised about. Like I said, I really like the traditional Skeleton Warriors. I didn't feel like they need to be replaced, but you know, new models, I'm happy as always. But I really feel like Games Workshop would be getting rid of these guys once they've sold out of them, which it sounds like they have, because they're temporary out of stock from online, which is obviously where a lot of their retail is pushed at the moment. So if they don't have any more stock from online, then it would make me think they don't have any left in their warehouse, which would mean if they say that they're only temporary out of stock, that means they're going to produce more of these guys. Maybe they'll just produce them until their molds break for the plastic, but I don't see that. But I'm happy that they're going to sell these alongside the new Skeleton Warriors, because these are probably going to be cheaper. I remember the days when these are like £15, and they have certainly gone up over the last few years, 20 quid. But here we are. But their War Scrolls will be in Soulblight Gravelords, like 100% guaranteed. Obviously, rules and stuff could change. They'll definitely be in Soulblight Gravelords. I think that maybe you'll be able to buy the older Skeleton Warriors, but slowly and slowly and slowly, they'll get pushed out, and the new Skeleton Warriors will be the only things you can buy. So we've got them, the Black Knights. So I talked about these when I talked about the Graveguard, didn't I? I think the models are alright, but I would be very happy to see new ones. I own 10 of these, and I'm quite happy. I've painted 5 black and 5 red, just because I know they're Black Knights, but red is my favourite colour. It's the colour scheme for my Death Army, so I wanted to break it up a little bit. And once you build and paint them up and stuff, I think they're pretty cool. The only thing I didn't like with these models is all the vines growing up on the Black Knights, and I know that it's like, well, they're like knights that have been buried underground for so long, that's why they've got all this like greenery and stuff on them. But I very much wanted my knights to be like, all their armor's like brand new. It's been recently forged. You know, they're not like just scruffians or something like that, just raised out the ground for like hope to try and turn the tide in battle. No, these people, you know, ride into war. They're not just like dug up from a graveyard. So I basically scraped the vines and stuff off mine best I could. But anyway, going off subject there, I believe that these guys will be sticking around. Yeah, these guys will definitely be in Soulblight Gravelords to get to the point of this video, but maybe could have new models at some point sooner rather than later. And then while we can just click on this picture here for the Hex Race, so I don't have to click on them separately. These guys, again, if Knighthorn's going to be in Soulblight Gravelords, they'll be there, but if not, they won't be. As simple as that, really. I've over-explained that again. And then, well, Blood Knights are getting replaced, so that's them there. Where is... Okay, so I think that is actually all of it, and then the stuff that we haven't came across is because quite clearly it's not going to be in the Soulblight Gravelords, like the old bat swarms that are awful. But I am just going to search this stuff up just in case. No, because that's the Lola Rings bat swarms that I've been using ever since I've used bat swarms. Bat swarms are really good against shooting currently, so I definitely recommend that. Start collecting Malignants. You know my opinions on that if you saw my how to start collecting Knighthorn video. Don't like that box at all, just purely because it's kind of like tries to get into Knighthorn, but doesn't really help you much at all. And then start collecting Skeleton Horde. Again, that's temporary out of stock. Oh yeah, the zombies are temporary out of stock as well. Yeah, like. So that means they might be coming back. Very weird. Interesting, though, to see that these are temporary out of stock, because then that kind of makes me feel like maybe we'll get new models from them. Skeleton Horde, they'll just keep that going until they run out of that, probably, because there'll probably be a new Soulblight Gravelords start collecting box at some point in the future. Is that it? I honestly feel like I'm missing things. But we haven't came across the Coven Throne. Like, I know, like, the Morgus Engine's there, but... Like, if Games Workshop wants to make 3 separate listings for the Corpse Cart, even though there's only 2 ways you can build it, there's no way they would miss out the Coven Throne. And the Coven Throne was made by that kit anyway, from the Morgus Engine, so it's not like they've sold out. Can I search it up separately? Coven Throne? Yeah, so why is that? Why got like an extra thing? Monster, maybe? Would it come up? No. Yeah. Again, this is not a video ranting about Games Workshop, but God, they're a pretty goddamn wealthy company now, and they can afford to have not shit like this on their website anymore. Anyway, Coven Throne. Yeah, so talking about this, same situation. It will be in Soulblight Gravelords. I don't really see any doubt of it there. The Bloodseeker Palanquin as well. Is that gonna come up? Seeker. How do you spell that? No idea. Is it one word? Yeah, one word. Again, that will be in Soulblight Gravelords as well. And I really feel like that's where the video is coming to an end now. I think I've come across anything. If I've missed something out, guys, apologies. Games Workshop website doesn't want to be helpful and show me where it is. It almost reminds me of when they go, right, it's like a big release coming for Age of Sigmar in terms of a new book. And when you look at their Azir app or just the app for Age of Sigmar, and they go like, there's a big release coming, there's a big release coming, there's a big release coming. They release it and they go, oh crap, now we need to update the app. Surely you knew the release was coming. Why did you not have the update updated prior before that? And I get it, it's a free app, you know, fair enough. But when you're paying like, even just like £1 for a month for it on the list building thing, like I say, Games Workshop, they have more than enough money now. They can't just keep going like, oh, we're a tiny company, don't blame anything on us. Anyway, this video is not meant to be about that, and I'm going to try to stop it there. So I do apologise if you find that annoying, but there you go. That's my thoughts on Games Workshop. But with that aside, guys, what I want to know, like I said, this video is very much off the cuff. Just thought I'd go through it, tell you my own thoughts. Everything else, no notes to this video or anything. Just thought I'd give you my honest thoughts straight from the top of my head. If you did enjoy this video, I presume if you're still watching now, you did enjoy it. I just ask you if you could please hit the like button, as that would make a huge difference to the channel. Basically shows YouTube that people enjoy this video and will help try and let other people be able to watch it easier. And also, if you could subscribe if you haven't already, basically that massively helps out the channel. It's absolutely free for you guys to do so, and is the way how the channel continues to grow. And then if you click that bell notification, it means that you won't miss out on any of my future videos for Age of Sigmar coming, which you could be interested of. And if you've got any questions or anything else on something that I could have mentioned in this video and I didn't, please put it down in the comments down below. I'll be happy to help you out best I can. And alternatively, let me know your thoughts on what you think is going to be here and what's not going to be here for Legions of Nagash in Soulblight Gravelords, as that would be very interesting to hear as well. Some of you guys have been putting fantastic comments in some of my latest videos as well, which I need to get back to some of you guys and stuff, but it's been really interesting to get that conversation. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, of course, as always, if there's anything I said here that you disagree with, all I ask is you let me know down in the comments below, rather than just like disliking the video or something, because otherwise I can't learn if I don't know what you didn't like. It's as simple as that. And the last thing I want to say is, like I mentioned at the start of the video, if you would like to support the channel that step further, rather than just liking, subscribing and bell notification, if you would like to become a Age of Nagash member, all you need to do is click the join button next to the subscribe button, and if you do that, it will take you to the Age of Nagash membership, where you can do anything from just that £1 a month, go straight towards the channel, keeping it going. And if you want to support on Patreon, you can find a link at the top of the description down below. You click the link and it will take you to my Patreon site, where you can give anything from just $1 a month, where it goes straight towards keeping the channel going. And I know I always say this, but they always do deserve a shout out, my YouTube members and my patrons, because with these guys I can continue to keep this up. And it's not just something where it's like, oh, I'm doing YouTube and it's nice to, I don't know, make a bit of profit on the side through patrons and YouTube members. Absolute bollocks. Don't make any profit from doing this. It takes so much time and so much effort. So the fact that I have people who really generously donate money towards the channel to try and show to me that, you know, people are enjoying the content so much that they will actually help try and support me to make it, over the moon every time, and really don't know how to thank these people enough. But I can do my best and give them shouts out. So the start of that, the Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon of the channel, Stuart F, thank you so much for supporting on that tier. Like I've already mentioned, such a high tier. Always surprised when I read your name at being that tier. Thank you so much, and please keep up the great work. And then my Morgasts, which are Johnathan H, Filq, Bleed Red, Crystal G, thank you so much as well for your continued support. I know you've all been supported for a long time now, and it really has made a difference, so thank you so much. And then my vampires as well, we've got Mir, Martin S, Rouse321, David A, Ronni H, Doug P, SpareBear, Christopher H and Northdrop. Thank you for your continued support as well, especially again at that tier as high, you're giving all like $5 a month. It really does help. And then my Necromancers, which is going to be Jacq.l, RadiationRiley, AW77, Dice Sagas, WolfNick, Michal W, Quad, Cranky Wombat, Christopher C, Christopher F, James S, Robin S, Steve T, James T, Patrick F and JJ. Thank you so much for your continued support. It really goes a long way, and every single one of you. And if you'd like to become one of these amazing people, like I said, click the join button or click on the link to my Patreon site. Even if you just check it out, I'll be hugely thankful. And if you can't do that, like I've actually got written on the screen now, I thought I might as well put it up. I say it enough, don't I? Make sure you smash the like button, the subscribe button, the bell notification button. 3 easy clicks, and like I said, massively help out the channel. And let me know your thoughts down below in the comments of what I've said in this video and what your personal opinions are on what we're going to get with the Soulblight Gravelords book when it comes to what units are going to be in it from Legions of Nagash. And what I'd like to say is, if the main thing I would just say is, I hope, more importantly, that you're having a great rest of your day, everything like that. Again, thank you very much for just coming and watching this video today. At the end of the day, the main thing is that you've came and you watched this video and you enjoyed it. And at the end of the day, that's all I can ask for. And as you can see, this is just one long take and I'm rambling on and stuff now. But thank you very much for watching this video. Like I said, remember until next time to make sure you stay hygienic, you stay safe, and you're wearing a mask. And for God's sake, you wash your hands. So that means when Soulblight Gravelords comes out, you can actually start playing it. But more importantly than any of that is remember until next time that Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.